Let us know the Bible. With Father Claudio Doglio. The Gospel according to Luke. Conversion and salvation. They informed Jesus about a recent event. Pilate had killed some Galileans who had done something unlawful in the Temple of Jerusalem. And they asked Jesus if the death of these Galileans was the result of their sins. Jesus responded by making a clear distinction between that political action and the responsibility of the Galileans. They were not more sinful than the others, he said, just as what happened to those 18 bricklayers who died in a construction accident were no more sinful than all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. But Jesus concludes, if you do not convert, you will all perish in the same way. The topic of conversion is a topic very dear to the evangelist Luke. If there is no conversion, there is ruin, either conversion or death. Conversion means changing directions. Luke uses two Greek verbs to indicate this attitude. One is epistrepho, which is the verb that recalls the image of the road, changing directions of travel. If we realize that we have taken the wrong path, we have to go back, make a U-turn. It is the concept of conversion. If I want to reach the goal and I realize that I am on the wrong path, I have to change the way. I have to take the right one. Luke uses another much prettier verb, that is the verb metanoeo, that indicates the change of opinion, a change of mentality. It is necessary to change the way of thinking, and this is the authentic conversion, the change of mentality, something that is not very easy to do, impossible for people. It is not possible to change the heads of the people that you know, right? Let us think about the people we know from our own environment, people from our own family. We think that the other will never change his mind. And myself, can I change my mind? Can I change the way I think? Can I convert? Yes, history teaches us that conversion is possible. There are people who have really changed their minds. Something has happened to them that has transformed them. The history of salvation, according to Luke, is carried out thanks to the mercy of God who intervenes in people's life by changing their heads. Mercy is therapy. It is medicinal healing. It is not simply a palliative, that is a cloak that covers, hiding what is distorted, sick. Mercy is therapeutic. It aims to heal. The goal is precisely the transformation of the sinner into a saint. In chapter 15, the evangelist Luke compiles three parables that we know very well. They are the parables of mercy: the lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son. They are parables that show God's action to save humanity. It is the work of mercy exemplified by the fact that Jesus is going to lunch with sinners. This is how the evangelist frames the three parables. All the tax collectors and sinners came to listen to him. The Pharisees and the scribes murmured, "This one receives sinners and eats with them." It is the negative aspect that bothers them. Eating with sinners means sharing their mentality, getting on their level. Going to their homes and eating with that scum is a shame. Instead, Jesus believes that it is a pedagogical and medicinal path. Jesus will not conform with them. He's not going to approve them, but to offer them the possibility of change. He goes to find sinners. We must never forget that the search for the sinner is not for the sinner to remain as such. God's mercy does not condone sin. It does not allow the sinner to remain a sinner. He's going to look for him to bring him back home. What man among you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, would not leave the 99 in the desert and go after the lost until he finds it? And when he does find it, he sets it on his shoulders with great joy, and upon his arrival home, he calls together his friends and neighbors and said to them, "Rejoice with me because I have found my lost sheep." God is the shepherd who goes in search of that sheep that he has been lost. Just one. 1%, 99% are okay and don't need salvation, and it's just 1% a sinner? A percentage that does not add up. Of course, it does not agree with our schemes, with our experience. We can easily verify that. The 99 probably refers to the angelic reality, and the only one lost is humanity. One representing all, Adam, is the lost sheep, that is the humanity itself. God leaves the angels in their own safe world to get dirty and bloody in the corrupt world of man, and carry humanity on his shoulders by taking up the cross and leading man through the resurrection to the heights of God. Or that, what woman having 10 coins and losing one would not light a lamp and sweep the house, searching carefully until she finds it? Luke likes to always present female figures alongside male ones. Thus, to the insistent friend, the insistent widow join. The shepherd looking for the lost sheep, accompanied with the woman looking for the coin. An image for the male world and an image for the female world to carry the same message. The woman who looks for the lost coin is the wisdom of God that enters history to save that coin. Adam, who received the footprint of God, bears the image and likeness of God, but lost it on earth in the dust, under something. It needs to be recovered. This is conversion as an action of God who seeks the sinner to make him change. The third parable, that of the lost son, is broader and presents not simply a lost son and 9 others who stay home, but 2 sons, one older and one younger. One stays at home and the other prefers to leave. Between the 2 sons, there is the father. It is precisely the relationship between the father and the 2 types of son that Jesus wants to present as a model of mercy. The youngest son leaves home to have an autonomous and independent life and fails. He is reduced to poverty, forced to tend pigs. For an Israelite, this is the worst imaginable. No doubt he went abroad, squandered his heritage, and reduced himself to a bestial life. Because he's hungry, he decides to return. It is not such a positive model. We don't use it easily for an example of conversion, even catechistically, to introduce the theme of conversion to children. I'll get up and go to my father. The reason why the son decides to return home is because he's hungry. He has an empty stomach and thinks many hired workers in my father's house have to eat, and here I am starving, so I will go back and tell him, treat me like a servant, but feed me. The goal is to eat. The son is willing to be a servant in exchange for food. When he returns home, the father does not let him say the whole sentence he had thought. He welcomes him with a heart of mercy. The evangelist Luke says that the father saw him from afar and he felt his insides move. It is a strange verb. Greek verb is splanchnixe. It is the verb that indicates deep visceral love, typically maternal, and at the same verb that characterizes the attitude of the Samaritan who helps the man who has run into thieves. It is the attitude of Jesus who meets the widow at the funeral of his own son. It is the mercy of God that moves towards man. The merciful Father goes out and receives him, embraces him, reintegrates him into the dignity of a son with symbolic elements. Make him wear the first suit. This literally says the Greek text. It is the dress of primitive dignity. It is the sanctity of the first origin and invites him to eat at the son's table. The other, the older brother who has stayed at home, is a figure of the religious, observant person, while the younger represents perhaps the pagan peoples or the rebellious people who do not listen to the Lord and who turn away from him. The older brother embodies well the religious tradition of Israel, the devout person practicing since youth, but with a servile mindset, knowing that his brother has returned, he is not happy at all. Knowing that his father has welcomed him, he is indignant and does not want to enter. The sibling who has stayed at home is actually away from home and he does not want to go in. He does not want to go in and eat with the other. And the father also goes out to meet him. The lost sons are actually two. The two lost are differently, but both of them are out. The father comes out to invite them both. The eldest son protests, saying, I have served you for so many years, and not even once have you given me a kid to eat with my friends. We have again the verb to serve. The man had not two sons, but two servants. The defect of both, although in a different way, is servility, not filiation. Treat me like a servant, but give me food. I have served you, and you didn't give me a kid. At the center is the slavish idea that cares about eating, filling the belly, having something for itself, is the instinctive image of selfishness, of the human attitude centered in its own needs. The father tells the eldest son beautiful words. Son, you are always with me. At the center of the parable, this is it. It is the revelation of our dignity as sons and daughters to always be with the Lord. This is the meaning of our life. This is eternal life and the fullness of our existence. Conversion is not so much the fact that the son returns home to eat, but the change of mentality. The rebel must learn to trust his father, to stay with him and not use him for food. He who stays at home must change his mind, must enter into the father's style and learn to have a welcoming, available attitude that appreciates being more than having. The conversion is for both. The model is the merciful Father. Conversion is possible. Luke features several episodes of people who converted. An admirable role model is Zacchaeus. In chapter 19, the evangelist Luke introduces this character. He's a Jericho organized crime boss. Not just a tax collector, but a chief tax collector. Hence, an organizer of these tax collections companies for the Romans. While Jesus crosses the city of Jericho, the last stage before going up to Jerusalem, this Zacchaeus is curious to see him. because he has heard about Jesus. If he had other feelings in the heart, the evangelist does not say. He presents him as small in stature and cunning. Without making himself seen, he wants to see. He climbs the sycamore tree. It is the plant with a large stem with branches that extend widely downwards. Therefore, it is easy to climb over and overheads from the crowd to see from above, hidden by foliage. He never imagined that Jesus would notice and address him personally. When he gets under that sycamore, Jesus stops and turns to that infamous and frowned upon man, calls him by name. Today I must stay at your house. Today. Luke likes these adverbs of time. He uses it frequently in some important episodes. Today the Savior was born for you. Today these words, which Jesus read in the synagogue of Nazareth, have been fulfilled in your hearing. Today we have seen wonderful things, say those who have witnessed the pardon of the paralytic. The thief crucified with Jesus hears, today you will be with me in paradise. In the episode of Zacchaeus, this adverb appears twice. Today I have to stay at your house. And he received him full of joy. He came down quickly and went out of his way to greet him. Jesus entered the house of what we could call gangsters, not to approve, but to change them, to encounter them. The encounter with the mercy of Jesus changes the head of Zacchaeus, who says to the Lord, I give half of my assets to the poor and return what I have defrauded. This is conversion, a change of mentality. Also in the use of money, another theme much loved by the evangelist Luke. He returns what he took dishonestly and then uses his possessions as charity. Is it possible for a criminal of such magnitude to change? It is a true miracle. People murmur against Jesus. He went to eat with that sinner. What a shame. It seems that Jesus is conspiring with criminals. In reality, it is the path of God's mercy who goes down to get dirty with this sinful humanity, but only to purify it, to get it out of the mud, to lift it up. The mercy of Jesus pierces the heart of Zacchaeus, and a sinner like him changes his life. Today, salvation has entered this house. Conversion is identified with salvation. God's mercy saves sinful man because it transforms him, changes his head. Here is the metanoia, the mindset change that is God's grace welcomed by the sinful man. God's mercy makes the wicked righteous. Zacchaeus is an example. A change of head is possible. The mercy of God is a therapy that works. And in my head, does it work? If it doesn't work, the mercy offered to me is useless. To be useful, I must allow myself to change. This is the metanoia, the conversion that is asked of me and that I want to make possible thanks to the mercy of God.